India has long been on my short bucket list of must-see countries in the world. Having ticked a few of the others off my list in the last few years, I decided the time was right and I headed there in late April at the height of the hottest part of the year, but a couple months before the drenching monsoon season. I started off in the eastern part of the country in Calcutta, for no better reason than the fact was I knew so little about the city in that region, and no one else I knew who had been to India had been there.
The great thing to do in Calcutta is just try to get lost. Head to BBD Ghat. This is the old Victorian era of the city. Now it's home to millions of Indians. There's tons of alleyways and passageways that you can explore. You find everything from clothes, food, vans, car parks, I mean really anything.
Once the capital of the British Empire, today Calcutta is a sprawling, fascinating, crowded city steeped in history, full of people and enough noise, smells, sensory overload, and food to make any Westerner looking for something different very happy.
And of course, this being India, you're going to run into a random religious parade at some point.
Of course, for locals, a street parade means it's probably 2 in the afternoon, but for outsiders, it's a cavalcade of unfamiliar sights and traditions, except for the horses. No horses means it's not even a parade in my book, just a bunch of people walking in a line.
If you get up early in the morning in Calcutta, you'll find the Starbucks of the city, which is essentially chai stands on every corner. It's usually a woman, and she's brewing up chai, and they'll serve it in these little ceramic cups. Kolkata has a history of being one of the cultural capitals of India. This is on full display at the Rabindranath Tagore House in northern Calcutta. Tagore was a famous poet, considered to be the father of modern India poetry, and he won the Nobel Prize in 1912 for his writings.
Today you can visit his 18th century mansion and learn more about Tagore and gain home improvement inspiration. I could use a massive courtyard like this for my studio apartment back home. My second stop during my trip in India was to the small, holy town of Bodh Gaya, considered to be the holiest of all sites in the Buddhist religion, as this is where it is said that the Buddha sat under a Bodhi tree for 3 days and found enlightenment. Today is home to numerous temples built for Buddhist pilgrims who come here from around the world.
One of the best attractions in Bodh Gaya is the Great Buddha statue. Now, the statue was actually built by a Buddhist sect in Japan and was unveiled on November 18th, 1989 by the Dalai Lama.
If you take to the fields and wander outside of town, you can visit the various temples, shrines, and monasteries that dot the landscape, including one of the largest in the area, the Tergar Monastery.
When you're in Bodh Gaya, you can explore the many temples and monasteries that dot the city. It's a very peaceful, calm way to spend your day. It's kind of like spending your time in New York City. And by kind of like, I mean not at all.
Like many sites in India, one of the best times to visit is during dusk when the setting sun casts a pale, orange glow.
It was here at this site over 2,000 years ago, a young Prince Siddhartha sat under a fig tree and found spiritual enlightenment, thus becoming the Buddha. The original fig tree that the Buddha sat under is no longer here, it was destroyed. But a sapling from that original tree was taken from Sri Lanka and planted here in Bodh Gaya, which is the tree that you'll see today.
Of course, monks, pilgrims, and random travelers from Brooklyn come here today to sit under the tree and meditate and explore the holy grounds of the temple complex.
Varanasi on the banks of the Ganges River is perhaps the most famous and holiest cities in all of the Hindu religion. Dating back to about 1200 BC, the city itself has been sacked over the years, but the old city remains intact, at least in shape. Famous part of Varanasi are the various ghats, or steps that lead into the river. Here you'll see various religious ceremonies being performed and people going into the river to clean themselves. Two of these ghats are known as burning ghats, or places where Hindus come to die and their bodies are burned on flaming pyres. It is thought that burning the bodies actually purifies the soul, and doing it here on the banks of the Ganges is the most holiest places to do it. And yes, this is a very normal sight to see in Varanasi. There's no better way to describe Varanasi than as an experience. For people coming from Western styles of living, this is going to be probably one of the most unfamiliar cities in all of India for them. It's a total affront on all your senses, but really in a good way. Keep your eyes and your mind open and it'll be an unforgettable experience. Varanasi's old town dates back thousands of years, even if the buildings haven't, and it's a spiderweb of narrow alleyways that you can really get lost in. Just watch out for the cows and their byproduct.
As a former drummer, I made it my goal not to leave India without getting a chance to play tabla with a sitar player, which I was able to do at the Shiva Musical House. And to answer your question, no, I will not be quitting my day job anytime soon. The other must-do experience in the city is to take a sunrise boat ride down the Ganges. Yes, you have to get up early, but the experience is one you'll never, ever forget. 300 rupees and one terrifying jeep ride later, I made it to Darjeeling, the famed hill station in northeastern India. Founded as a hot weather retreat for the British during colonial days, the Himalayan town is now a great spot to see a different part of India, as well as a convenient stopping off point before making your way into the Himalayas for a trek.
The highest point in Darjeeling is Observatory Hill, a 300-meter walk from the main road. This hill was actually the original location of the Darjeeling Monastery, from which the town got its name. If you walk up here now, you'll see many Buddhist and Hindu shrines. There's also a cave complex that you can explore.
The interesting part about Darjeeling is that despite the fact that you're still in India, it doesn't feel that way at all. Instead, it feels like you've crossed over into neighboring Nepal, which makes sense since the city itself is made up of mostly ethnic Gorkhas, a people of Nepali descent. Oh look, a sign for a cave. I need no other information, you had me at cave.
I just got blessed here at the cave at Observatory Hill, and I really think I'm starting to look like I fit in, don't you think? Darjeeling sits about 2,100 meters above sea level. Now, this amount of elevation difference really makes a difference in the weather. I mean, you're talking about weather in Kolkata that's at 105 degrees, whereas here it's about 70 degrees Fahrenheit.
I discovered that the real problem is that when you pack for a trip to India, you tend to pack clothes suitable for oppressively high temperatures. I'm just hoping the untrimmed beard growth provides some much needed warmth.
Darjeeling is of course known for its teas, and a walk through the tea plantations is a calm, serene experience, a great contrast to your time spent in the large megacities of the rest of India. I think it's important when you're in this country to kind of experience them both. There's a lot to see in the big megacities, but really try to get out into the country and see the real India. It's kind of important in life too to kind of see both sides of things. Man, this country is really making me philosophical.
I'm here at the Happy Valley Tea Estate. Now this is a tea estate that dates back to 1854 when the British first planted the tea plants. We're going to try a few different teas here. Now the tester you need to put in your hand, make a cup out of it and blow into it, and this releases the aroma. Then you smell it and choose the one that you want to taste. Yeah.
Okay, now your tea is ready.
That quickly, yeah?
Yes, yes, yes. Best tea is you make like this.
A multi-day trek into the mountains sounded like a good way to get some much-needed exercise, as well as to see the Himalayan peaks for the first time in my life, including the first and third highest mountains in the world, Everest and Kanchenjunga. And yes, if you'd asked me how to pronounce that the day before, I would have had no idea. This gate represents the border between India and Nepal, so I'm going to go ahead and cross over into the next country. No visa required. The crazy part of the beginning of the trek was the near zero visibility due to the fast-moving clouds sweeping in. If it wasn't so peaceful here, I would say it felt like the beginning of some sort of horror movie. You'll see these at all Buddhist temples. These are called manis. These are circular wheels with prayers written on them. You're supposed to spin it and this spreads the prayers into the wind to all the villagers around. There are heaps of trekking companies in Darjeeling that will organize trips along the Singalila Trail, which is a winding trail that crosses between India and Nepal as it snakes its way north. As you can see here, the clouds just kind of blow in. You're literally above the clouds here. You see the clouds just roll in below you. It's almost like smoke coming in and enveloping. It's really amazing. The hike itself is pretty basic, and the views, when not shrouded in clouds, are pretty amazing. So after a day's hike through the Himalayas, I finally made it to the town of Tumling, which is nothing more than a small village comprised of a couple of lodges. But at sunrise, you're supposed to have some great views of the mountains, and hopefully tomorrow morning we'll see Everest, and the world's third highest mountain. Well, it's about 4:30. I know it's early, but it's not that bad when you go to bed around 9:30. As you can see, I've slept under about 9 blankets, so it was a bit cold, but under all those blankets, I was okay for the night. If you really want to see the mountains, you have to get up early, because the clouds will roll in otherwise. So hopefully we get to see Everest today. And there, way off in the distance, is Mount Everest. I wasn't sure this day was ever going to come,